Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Bjorn.
And we are Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to talk with you about your favorite Viking shows.
So with only 2 more days left until the season finale of Vikings, we are taking another look back at some of the earlier episodes to see what they got right and wrong about some of our favorite characters. This time, we're going to go off and talk about the people who succeeded Ragnar and kind of filled his place, his sons.
Ragnar had many children with many different wives, and the truth is that the family tree that he has extends even further than what the show could reasonably portray. While we can't know 100% what is true, we are presented with 2 different versions of family trees as laid out in Ragnar's Saga and in Saxo's writing, and both of them are pretty vast.
In no particular order, the sagas tell us that his children were Ivar, Bjorn, Ubba, Sigurd, Hvitserk, Agnar, Erik, and Ragnvald. According to Saxo Grammaticus, in addition to 2 unnamed daughters, his sons were Fridleif, Radbard, Dunvat, Sigurd, Bjorn, Agnar, Ivar, Ubba, Ragnvald, Erik, and Hvitserk.
I'm going to bear you another son.
I know.
But I am fearful of the prophecy.
So this is one version that's put forth in Ragnar's Saga, so in that respect it's true. However, our sources do differ in some detail. According to Saxo, Ivar had no such birth defects and was in fact a very successful warrior. When writing about him, Saxo is quoted as saying, "Here too, Ivar, who was in his 7th year, fought splendidly and showed the strength of a man in the body of a boy."
There are more explanations for this beyond just these 2 possibilities as well. For instance, we know that as a society, the Norse actually did practice infanticide from time to time. And so, certain children who might have been born with specific birth defects would have actually possibly been left out in the wilderness to die of exposure. There might have been some exceptions to this, being a king's son, but it is certainly a possibility. So other explanations beyond what we've already discussed might have just been a different meaning for what his byname actually stood for. Beyond just the idea that Ivar suffered from brittle bone disease. Another explanation is given that he was actually very nimble in battle and therefore moved as if he had no bones in his body. Whereas another even talks about it being an insult given to him by his enemies, basically to call him impotent. Another possibility is that his name Boneless was actually a mistranslation from the original Latin. Boneless in Latin is exos, whereas something like the hated would be exos. So it's very simple for somebody who is not fluently versed in Latin to mix the 2 words. So it's very possible his name was actually just Ivar the Hated. And all of this is conjecture.
And make this prophecy. Your new son will be born with the image of the serpent in his eye.
So again, this version of the story comes straight from Ragnar's Saga and is definitely accurate. But as usual, our sources do offer different explanations.
In Saxo Grammaticus' version, he is not born with this defect. He gets it later on in his life after he suffers a loss in battle and he is badly wounded. A cloaked traveler, we think is probably Odin, sprinkles this magic dust on him while he is healing, which speeds up his healing process and thus results in the snake appearing in his eye.
Though this retelling isn't copied exactly from the historical sources, it is a really great example of how the writers kind of took inspiration from the sagas and then kind of made it their own in the story. We do know that each of Ragnar's sons reacted in a very different way upon hearing of their father's death, but each of those differs from each other and from what's shown in the show.
The story goes that after Ragnar's death, King Aelle sent out his own messengers to inform Ragnar's sons of what has happened. And he instructed them to pay close attention to how the Ragnarssons would react so that he could then be informed of that. In Ragnar's Saga version of the story, we know that Bjorn breaks his spear in half upon hearing the news. Meanwhile, Sigurd and Hvitserk are playing a game of Nefertafel, and Hvitserk squeezes a game piece that he had acquired so hard that his hand bleeds. Meanwhile, Sigurd, who is cleaning his nails with his knife while listening to the messengers, cuts into his finger so hard and so deep that he hits bone, but neither of the brothers react to the pain that they're experiencing. because they're just so shocked at hearing this news. Meanwhile, Ivar is the one that questions the messengers, and he asks them all manners of questions, and he wants to know every single little detail about what happened and how their father had died. And when the messengers are done, Hvitserk immediately wants to exact revenge. He wants to start by killing the messengers, and Ivar is the one that says, let's all calm down, the messengers will go safe in peace, and they don't start talking about revenge until the messengers are gone.
In the Gesta Danorum, it's actually Bjorn that squeezes a gaming die so hard that his hand gets cut. Sigurd actually thrusts a spear into his foot, and Ivar just kind of looks on at everybody completely emotionless, like doesn't react even in the least bit. But no matter the accounts, it's important to note that Ayla was most scared of Ivar because he reacted so stoically.
But more importantly, we have to avenge our father. That is why I came back.
And that brings us to the next chapter of the sagas, and that is vengeance against King Ayla for Ragnar's death. The idea that Bjorn Ironside, as the eldest son, unites the brothers to conquer England is a poetic one and fits very nicely into the Viking storyline. However, it is a little bit further from what history tells us.
Historically, it was Ivar who approached King Ayla, but not to seek vengeance, but reconciliation. Ivar asked Ayla to grant him as much land as he could cover with an ox's hide as payment for his father's death, and in return, he would not war with King Ayla. After Ayla agreed, Ivar then proceeded to cut the ox's hide into as thin a strand as he possibly could, and by doing so, he made the strip long enough to basically surround an entire massive fortress. In one source, it's referenced as the city of York, and another it's London. But regardless, he did this and was able to take over this massive chunk of land, and while he himself did not seek war with Ayla, he left the doors open for his brothers, Ubba and Halfdan, to come in with their great heathen army and lay absolute waste to England. That's all we've got time to discuss for today. We really hope that you guys enjoy these little stories about the historical characters, because I really feel that learning the historical truths of what actually happened is just as exciting as any kind of drama series might be able to portray the show as well. Remember that Vikings comes out December 30th. 2 more days, it's the final season. Be sure to check out our channel here for all of our reactions and commentary on the show. And if you guys want us to go back and look at some of your favorite characters or favorite moments from the past seasons, be sure to comment below so that we can get to work on it. So in no particular, oh my god, why can I say it? In no particular order.
Are you turning Scottish or something?
In no particular order. His children were as followed. Seamus. Ivar, Seamus, Brian, and Seamus. Anyways.
However, our sources.
Our sources.
Our sources.
Like a horsey. They're authority. And for payment. Ready? Cool.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you keep you notified of our future videos. And we will see you in the next one.